You're listening to
Wrestling to the Max.
Alert. Clear all channels.
This is an exclusive
Pay-per-view review.
How you like that?
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Ordering triple C and double, I'm max single. You on the top, I'm the bottom, and she the middle. I did it all for the nook cat, Oreo cook cat, body killer, shot it on push mat. Now drop it, you got it, thank God it's Friday. We let that TGI upward, yeah.
Hello and welcome to Wrestling Max special number 19, where we review all things WrestleMania 32, and this one will not be with Patrick and Harry, just FYI for you guys.
Yeah, guys, I mean, this has been a busy WrestleMania weekend. Patrick Ketza has been in town live in Dallas, just like we are. We're live in Dallas, Texas right now, and you know, it's been a fun weekend, but it's also been a busy one for each of us. We've all been doing kind of our own thing at times. We got lucky enough to have a chance to kind of get together a few times and just enjoy this weekend. But Patrick's been busy. He's got people he's with, and we honestly haven't had a chance to contact him, and I know Harry's had a busy weekend too, so hopefully you'll get a chance to hear from them. Of course, if you want to hear Harry's take on this whole WrestleMania 32 and, of course, the Raw following, go check out the Raw reaction. You'll always get a chance to hear him and, you know, a couple other guys who are amazing, you know, Tony Acero, and a guy we just met, Sean.
Yes.
Yeah, tell him
Rick
about
Balin,
that.
Man.
Yeah.
He was, or Balon, sorry if I said his name wrong, but yeah, we went to In-N-Out and ate and got to meet him and the family. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. It was a blast. And, you know, it's not every day you get a chance to do that, but WrestleMania brings everybody together.
Yeah, very true.
And he wasn't even going to the WrestleMania show.
Yeah.
So he just went to Access.
Exactly. I mean, that's what's really cool about WrestleMania weekend. You don't have to go to Mania. Mm-hmm. I mean, Paul, you went to some great shows on Saturday that, I mean, were a lot of fun, and you got to see some great things up close and personal. Probably were a little bit maybe better than some of the WrestleMania experiences at times.
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly farther away, and it's certainly like, you know, being that close and then being that far away was a little jarring because I'd gotten used to, you know, seeing everything right there in front of your face, and now I'm watching everything through Jerry Vision.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
All of us had that issue. We were watching it through Jerry Vision.
Yeah.
We basically, where we're sitting, we were in the corner. Mm-hmm. So it was, you could see things, but a lot of times they were on the other side of the ring, so it was watching, like, you know, 2 miniature versions of those wrestlers, or 7 if you're talking other matches. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was so much easier to just watch it on the screen. It's basically right here, like, literally you just look up and it's there. Yeah. You know, and...
Exactly. Yeah. But, you know, hey, at least you got a chance to see it, and you got the experience of it, you know, being there. And, you know, once again, you know, we've been used to, like, me and Sean, when we went to NXT TakeOver, it was so intimate. I mean, you're only got 10,000 people there, but we had pretty decent seats. You're
actually,
not far
apparently it was less. It was like 7,000.
Oh, was it 7,000?
So,
well, I mean, still, it's intimate. Yeah. I mean, it's very intimate. And, Paul, you went to even more intimate shows with 2,000 people. So, when you go to this big, huge, giant stadium with 100,000 plus, it is amazing, but it's also kind of hindering because you are so far away, and it's just, you know, one of those things. So, but, you know, we want everybody to know also we thank our partners, which is lastwordonsports.com and 411mania.com. Both sites are awesome. Go check them out. We love their partnership, and we definitely appreciate it. But, guys, I mean, let's go ahead and start this thing off, and let's talk about this whole show in general. I mean, the crowd seemed pretty cool at times. I mean, it was very hard to get chants going in this arena, or stadium, excuse me, because it is so vast. I mean, Paul, I mean, you were down there. You heard a few chants in your section, but there was another chants in other sections. It was kind of hard to kind of bounce off.
Or if you were quiet in your section, you could hear the noise from another section across the entire arena, and Lord knows how long it took for all that sound to get to you or whatnot. So, I mean, if you heard a codified, unified chant from that arena, that was an undertaking in and of itself. Like the New Day claps, for example. I know we were pretty solid there for at least 2 minutes from what I could hear. So, like, you know, that I'm sure that was something really cool. Or, you know, booing is obviously easy, but I'm sure that came across well during the main event and all that. So
yeah, and, you know, one of the things of this whole thing, Sean, is you have to get to the experience of not just seeing the people, getting into the people. You got to live with the people when it comes to getting in the building. It seemed like we lived with those people shoulder to shoulder for quite a while as we waited. I don't know if the entire security team was just slow or what at AT&T Stadium, but man, it took forever for us to get in. We all walked in close to almost the end of Kalisto and Ryback. You know, so that kind of took us aback a little bit. I think all of us expected to be in there before getting started. So that's you know, something, I guess, Sean. I mean, you've been in plenty of WrestleManias. Is this something that's happened before to you, or what?
Well, 28, which is my first one that I went to by myself. You know, because I just moved and I had the money, and it was like a $40 ticket I just bought, and I said, okay, I'm going to go. I don't remember it being like that. I remember showing up. We waited a little bit. This is, of course, before there was. This was when they had the 30-minute pre-shows. So you basically, it wasn't this extravaganza that it is right now, you know, so they had to make sure they let everybody in an hour before the pre-show, and then by the time we got there, we ended up missing part of the first match of the pre-show.
Yeah.
So, you know.
You know, of course, you know, it was nothing that we really, I guess you would say, missed out on a whole lot. I mean, it was probably a decent match from what we saw.
So, Anthony Juga, who's in the chat here on the video version, asks how long it took us to leave after the show. We have a great story.
Yes, we do.
our start time here is related.
Yeah, it's a situation where we actually were lucky enough to be able to hitch a ride with Paul and his good friend Ben, and which we are very appreciative because those guys are awesome. We had to get to enjoy lunch together, go have a great time. But me and Sean are not the most directionally oriented people, and you know, Paul and Ben and Ben's brother were actually able to get to the truck pretty quickly. Me and Sean wandered around and walked around the entire AT&T Stadium on the outskirts of the stadium for about 45 minutes, I think. So, yeah, it wasn't, you know, truly a good, I guess you would say, Paul, a good test of really how long it took us to leave. But that's okay.
And it also takes, like, because, you know, Garland from Arlington takes a while, too.
Yeah, I mean, traffic was a bear, of course. Like, you know, if there actually was 101,000 people there, you can only imagine how long driving out of that place took. You know?
That's the only reason I was not really too worried about us being late, honestly, Sean. I felt terrible, but on the other hand, I thought to myself, we would probably still be sitting in the same traffic as long as it's taking. And so I kind of thought, well, maybe some of the traffic had gone. No, it was still as bad as ever. But let's be honest, me and Paul know this. Sean knows it very well, being a son of a guy who owns the season tickets to the Cowboys. Arlington's bad.
Yes.
It's a very bad place when it comes to traffic. I mean, I think maybe Houston's worse overall, but Arlington is a city by itself. Terrible traffic. So.
Yeah, when Texas Stadium was in Irving, it was basically just one of those, like, they push you out to somewhere maybe you didn't want to go, but it wouldn't take that long for you to actually get to where you needed to go.
Right.
Whereas in Arlington, it's like, oh my God, I got to go here and there, and then it's, you know.
And for anybody who's not familiar with North Texas is broken up into tons of cities. It is a giant, big area. Of course, Dallas itself is a big county, but there's so much more to Dallas. It's North Texas in general. So just to let everybody know that if you're unfamiliar with this area. But guys,
now that we give you the geography lesson.
Yeah, there you go. Now we'll just go to history. No, we're not doing that.
And as Chris notes, Chris Bernard, who was here doing the video for us on the regular episode on Thursday, I have always been directly challenged.
Yeah. So have I. Trust me. But you know what, guys? I mean, we have a big card to go through, and I'll just throw this out there. We didn't talk about this pre-show. Do you guys want to start from the beginning to the end, or we want to start at the highlight?
Let's start at at the the one people are going to be
okay.
Well,
let's talk about it. I know which one you're talking about. Let's talk about this is probably the one match that had everybody coordinated in a chant for quite a while. And it's not really a chant. I think it's a sound more.
Well, let's start with the main event just because we already have a question.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is because, Sean, this is honestly probably the one chant / sound that was coordinated for the longest period of time. That's boos. Roman Reigns versus Triple H. And, man, I mean, you can't get any better usually at WrestleMania when it comes to the entrances of Triple H. Stephanie McMahon, of course, was the first entrance. Just really did a great job, in my personal opinion, with what she did, how she kind of came on along with the story. Her, vocally, she did great. And, of course, Triple H coming out. I mean, it all looked great. And, of course, Roman Reigns comes out to what we expected to see, a boos. Getting into the meat of this whole thing, let's just talk about the fact that the match wasn't bad. Maybe not the best match we've maybe seen the entire night, but it wasn't a bad match at all. Roman Reigns does win the WWE Championship belt, which I think all of us figured was going to happen. That's okay. So, throwing all that out there, guys, what did you think? What was your first reactions? Intro, match, everything.
The intros were fine. They were what you expected. Triple H had the little. I mean, they even pulled the little almost bait and switch with the skull mask. You think it's Triple H, and it's actually Stephanie underneath, which I thought was cool. But you have a match that tried to tell a story, essentially. Triple H works on the arm. Clearly he's been watching Evolve. Fujiwara arm bars. He's got an Umplata in there. Where was that? 10 years ago.
Yeah, really, honestly.
So I appreciated that, but it was flat. The fans, us, we weren't. I was too busy laughing to make any boos or cheers because when the roles are that solidly reversed, I couldn't help but laugh. It was so hilarious how loudly Triple H and Roman Reigns were getting the opposite reactions they were supposed to be getting.
Yeah. So true. Very true. And, I just thought it was kind of funny for the same aspect of you got all these fans, and we, in our section, where we were at, had kids up top, right above us, chanting, and I think it was women as well, for Roman Reigns, and trying to get chants started over and over going, let's go Roman. And of course, as people probably watching the show live got it, they did have the back and forth, but we try to kill it as much as possible at times because we didn't want the whole thing.
Well, because if you do that whole "Let's go Roman sucks" thing, you're reacting in the same way to that for Cena, and then they're going to see that and they're going to go, "Oh, it's working. The John Cena thing is totally working."
Yeah.
It's just also to Paul's point that now I can't place for some reason that I was going to go right off of is that the thing with Reigns and Triple H is that, like he said, it's not a bad match, and you can't blame it on the whole the crowd was gassed or whatever, because they had a lot of time in between. Yes, you're really thrilled by what happened beforehand, but there was still a lot of time between the crowd. The crowd in no way was totally out of it in that way like they have been for other Triple H main events because of something else,
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And, overall, we get what we get. And I think we, in a way, got what we expected. Yeah. And I thought that they could put on a big match and really, maybe get 4 stars. But it wasn't really about that at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it was the story. We get Roman Reigns winning, which is definitely something we expected. I think most people predicted that to happen. Going forward, though.
And that big spot with Stephanie.
Yes. That was a huge spot. And there were some spots in here that were, to me, fun. That was exciting itself. I think that they did a good job overall with the match, the way they put it together. I felt very good.
I think it's planned out well. Stephanie getting the spear was the loudest pop of that entire match, other than us just outright just letting Roman have it. I told my friend Ben, I told him, we're going to see what it's like whenever 100,000 people boo somebody, and Roman Reigns is going to have to experience that, and how's that going to work, and all this stuff. And I guess I gave him credit with maybe having 17,000 or 1,700 fans there. But they were certainly we were sitting next to a lot of women who were cheering for him. There was a kid next to us who seemed into Roman Reigns too. So, maybe we just happened to be around a lot of casuals. But I mean, certainly the rest of the building.
You know, you bring up a good point, Paul, and I really wish I knew that. I wish we had a poll of how many casuals were there, because, and I'll talk about it when we get to when we'll talk about this other match. But I was kind of surprised at some of the reactions I was getting from people and what we heard, because there were a lot of people who just seemed to be Monday Night Raw fans. Mm-hmm. That's what they do. That's all they knew coming into WrestleMania. Blew my mind, but that's what it is. So we get what we get, the sea of booze and just the intrigue of the match. Though, going forward, though, we're going to be going into Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, guys. And this is going to be the hugest storyline. It's going to be a big deal tomorrow. And I'm sure Roman Reigns will be the first guy walking out on Monday Night Raw with that belt. Or at least him or the Authority, vice versa. What do you truly expect, Sean, out of this whole thing? What do you expect to see tomorrow night?
It's going to be interesting because of what happened in the other match. The Authority still has something to be happy about. Mm-hmm. Or we think they do. Anyway, so will they spin it and be happy about the other result that had to do with the company? Or is Triple H going to be there talking about what happened with Roman Reigns? Is he going to sidestep it? Is he going to say, oh, well, I let Roman Reigns have it because I didn't really feel like I needed to be champion that long, or whatever, his reasoning is going to be. It's going to be interesting. The interesting thing is going to be what they do with Roman now, because obviously the boos are there. Obviously, just from the way the match was wrestled, it didn't seem like they were interested in turning Reigns at all, but they could still wait for that Raw, depending on who. We already have Cena returned. So there's a lot of... The cool thing with Reigns is there's so many different things they can do now. Mm-hmm. There's not a whole lot they can do if he stays face, but it's one of those where, again, because he gets the mixed reaction, if they're going to go with that, they can kind of have him do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm.
What do you think out of this, Paul?
I have no idea where you go with a face Reigns. He's beaten everybody you could conceivably have that you have as a heel right now. In your Reigns, or your Wyatts, your Triple H now. It's Seth, if Seth was around, that would be really good, because they still haven't really given that a big blow off for anything. And if Roman happens to happen when Seth comes back, then I'm sure that's what they'll go with. But I think you have to do the heel turn now, because him and Dean could probably get you some mileage. Mm-hmm. And I have my own problem with that, because you've made Dean look just completely silly, I think, after tonight. But he's going to come out, he's going to be that first segment, and 20,000 people are going to let him know, dude, we don't want you here.
I think you're right on that one. Because once again, 100,000 people, you can get a little bit weird, the whole chance and all that, but 20,000 people, significantly less, and a lot more hate.
And it's usually more of our crowd too, so it's not gonna be an easy night.
Nope, not one bit. And someone else we can talk about who's not going to have an easy night, and that may be seeing what's going to happen with Shane. Is he going to appear on Raw, or is he going to be not able to? The other thing is Undertaker. Is he going to what's going to come out of this? Because is that it? That can't be it. Because there's got to be more to the story between the Undertaker and Shane McMahon. And boy, did we get
Vince too?
And Vince, yeah, we did not get 1 minute of Vince tonight at WrestleMania. When all this goes down, when Vince should walk out with his chest puffed out, that the guy that he picked to face off against Shane won the match without any help, and no Vince, weird, very odd. What do you think about that, Paul?
For the match, I think was what you were going to get with a mid-50s Undertaker and a mid-40s Shane. It was slow. They worked from spot to spot. I don't think that took away from anything. It was still a really fun match. I enjoyed it. I think the rest of the building did too. They were loud for all the right stuff. And where they go from here. You got to have Shane bring out the lockbox thing, right? He still has something on Vince, apparently, even if they're not going to mention it. I think he'd go with that.
That's interesting, right? Will they do that? Will they actually mention the lockbox? Did they hide it because they want to be able to use that as we can kind of do whatever we want at WrestleMania? Mm-hmm. And then on Raw the next night, we can go, oh yeah, there's that lockbox. So I get one more shot, and I want it to be against Vince, or I want it to be against whoever, or give me another shot at The Undertaker, or whatever they decide to do, whether it's Payback, whether it's Extreme Rules, it'll be there. And because I think, honestly, when WrestleMania comes, you expect something different, and if you're going to do this, a lot of what they're doing here, titles did kind of some of the other titles did kind of stay with people, and the big one that did change hands, the WWE title, so that you've got that going on with the Authority too. But I just can't imagine that you're just going to. It wouldn't be out of WWE's realm to keep things status quo. Mm-hmm. But this thing with Shane has to have some kind of legs that means something for the company going forward. Whether it is a brand split, whether it's just we're going to shake things up for Raw and have different people in charge, whatever it is, you got to have something that's new that makes you go, okay, now I'm interested in the rest in this new year of WWE, this new season of Raw, whatever they want to call it. That's the important thing right now.
Yeah, it is. And, as we talk about this, you just think about the fact that, this is definitely a possibility we all kind of put into play. We kind of put it into Shane's, what would happen if Shane becomes the guy who takes over the company. But looking at this and looking at the way the match turned out, once again, I just want to throw this out there. The fact that no interference, which I predicted interference, I think a lot of people did. We really expected something huge. Nothing like that happened. It was just a clean match, but wow, what a hard-fought match. Sure, these guys did it slow. They were very methodical because they had to be. I mean, like you pointed out, Paul, 40s, not easy to do this at that age. And the fact that basically Shane McMahon tried to kill himself.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, my God. What didn't Mick Foley say that would never happen again?
Yeah, I mean, Mick said that Vince, he'd never let anybody do that again. And he let his son do it in front of his grandchildren even. Because, Shane brings out his kids. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was cool to see live. I mean, he didn't really jump. He more just walked off. But, what can you say other than just, wow. It was amazing.
Yeah. And John, the guy next to us was saying how it looked like it was in slow motion. And I was like, man.
Yeah.
It's
oh,
terrifying.
my God. That was insane. I had my hands next to my face like, oh, wow, did he die?
Yeah.
I tried to get the Please Don't Die chant going. It didn't take.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but it's insane because I kept thinking, okay, eventually he's just gonna decide, okay, I'm far enough up on the side of the cell. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna go down now, and then he goes all the way to the top, and it's amazing, and it's like, wow, here you go, they did it, they did the spot, and then shortly after he loses, but. You got your money's worth. You got what you get from both those guys. Mm-hmm. You got your big stunt from Shane. Shane kind of tried to hold his own. I don't know about so much doing the submission there. That was a little bit awkward. And then Taker did his stuff, and Shane took some big bumps, which you expect. Yeah. I think it was really enjoyable. I think if you're hating on it, you just don't like Shane, or you thought it was plotting, and then that's fine. But I thought it lived up to what they needed it to, for the fact that there was no run-ins. Yeah. There was nothing, right? Yeah. There was
none. Clean as a whistle.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just it was clean as a whistle the whole match. You had your Hell in a Cell stuff, like Shane busting open the side of the cage, and then the poor announce team, they're getting clobbered by it.
Oh wow. God, that German guy.
Yeah, it just took it.
Yeah. It's amazing, what you see when it comes to these guys, because they put it all on the line. A guy like Shane doesn't have to. Plenty of money in his bank account. Doesn't need this. Doesn't need to really do it. But I think there's a few things you look into here. He loves the WWE. He loves the people on the roster. He's talked about plenty of times. He grew up there. He's good friends with Undertaker. He's good friends with a lot of people in that company.
So, Anthony, our good friend Anthony Rue, he's on here talking on our video chat, and he's saying that Shane and Taker, he thinks that should have been the main event. What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
The World Heavyweight titles, I think, unless there's some super extreme circumstance, should always main event. That's what WrestleMania is about. That's what you had the whole entire Rumble for, was to determine who this is in the main event, and it's for the title. That's what you go with. And even though the WWE, I think, has realized that they made their bet a long time ago, and now they have to lay in, and they certainly laid in it tonight, and probably rolled around in some extra feces or something before they got into that bet.
Yeah,
but the world title's going to main event, and it should.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I mean, Jim Ross has pointed this out, and a lot of other guys who have been in the business forever believe it is.
I just want to let you know, Gary, your sister is watching.
Oh,
so.
Hello, sister. I hope you liked that text about The Rock. That was for you. I told Sean, we got to get a picture for The Rock because my sister's going to freak. But, looking at this whole thing and kind of going at it, it is true. I think the championship has to be the top. It has to be the top of the card. Now, I would have totally agreed if the entire company would have went to Shane McMahon. Maybe we got something there. Maybe it really should have, because that's a big deal. Sure, I think the championship is supposed to be the top dog. It's supposed to be what we're all looking at, aspiring to as if we were a talent on the roster. But the company is, to me, a little bit, I don't know. Maybe that's the wrong statement. I almost feel like owning the company and running the company may be over the championship. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
I agree with you. That's what I was kind of saying. I thought it would be the main event because it's for control of the company. It's a much bigger thing than just your title. And even though both those things are kind of together, whoever holds that world title is usually one of your main guys in that company or whatever. And you could have easily had Roman Reigns win, and now everything's about, okay, here's this big match about whoever wins. You got to control the company and what that means going forward for the Authority, what it means going forward for, Vince and Shane and everybody. And, you could have gone either way, but I kind of see what Wayne Curtis, who was also at WrestleMania himself, and Anthony are saying about this should have been the main event, because I guess you don't, you maybe because of with the reaction of the crowd too, you don't have that decisive booing and all. It makes the whole show kind of end on a rotten note that way. But you still had what they wanted, which was for Roman Reigns to end the show on his moment. So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I just think that they planned that out because of those aspects, because they want Roman to be the last guy. They want him to have another main event under his belt. I think that's the biggest thing here. And sure, you could, like we keep talking about, going back and forth. The entire company's on the line. That makes sense to be at the top of the bill, but it just goes against what they want in the future. And that is Roman Reigns. Even no matter how much you don't want that, you don't like it, it's going to be there. And maybe we'll get this fixed tomorrow, Paul. Maybe if he goes to the dark side, we'll all be happy. We'll all be thrilled about it. And we will boo, and he'll love the boos because he's a heel.
It could happen. Tomorrow's the most interesting day. Today is, you get the big spectacle, and you get all this cool stuff happening, and what have you. But Monday, I think, is where the business takes place now. Yeah.
I agree with you, and it's kind of funny because we were having this conversation on the way back, and kind of looking at this whole thing, and really just breaking down the card amongst us in the truck, and really what it comes down to is we keep talking about Monday. Keep talking about Monday.
Yeah, because it's like you got this big, what do you call it? The big cliffhanger, right, for WrestleMania. You got the big cliffhanger WrestleMania. And now Raw is that final piece that's going to let you know, okay, the next couple episodes of this show are going to go this way. And now I know when we get to the season finale, or the next pay-per-view, this is what we're going to do, right? So that Raw, we're going to find out if anybody is going to show up from NXT at all, other than a guy that we'll talk about a little bit later, or if anything with this control of the company thing's going to happen, or anything else. We got to know, who Roman's next challenger is going to be, if Triple H is going to do the rematch clause or not, or whatever. We got to find all of that stuff.
Exactly. And it all kind of goes back into play.
Your sister says thank you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there you go. So, since she mentioned it, let's talk about The Rock. That was a situation because when The Rock...
To be fair, in context, all the stuff with The Rock happened before the main event.
Yes,
Right.
So,
exactly. That's exactly what I want to bring up too, because I leaned over to Sean, and when The Rock's music hit, I was happy, very excited. It's The Rock. But I thought to myself after a minute, I said, Sean, I think we may just be in store for a guy trying to pump up Roman Reigns. A guy that's going to try to put him over and maybe tell us don't be hard on Roman. He's a good kid, blah, blah, blah. Thank God it wasn't that. I was so nervous it was. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. What ended up happening was we had The Rock coming out to announce that the WWE record in attendance had been broken. And I was thinking, what was the number? Do we know?
101,763, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. So, I mean, that number will be, evaluated later. I'm sure it'll be lowered. But that's great. That's a record. Rock came out, pumped the crowd up. That's exactly what you want. He's the best at it. So he got that piece of business done. And they also had the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Before The Rock, we didn't even mention that. They came out. So that was another piece that, The Rock could talk about. The Rock talked about the cheerleaders, talked about all this other stuff going on. Just really pumping up Dallas. That's what he's about. Pumping up whatever city he's in, and he's going to build it up. But, when he concluded that piece of business about the attendance, the Wyatt family decides to show up, which I'm glad they had a part in this WrestleMania.
well, I mean, first of all, we gotta know The Rock over the flamethrower.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about the flamethrower. Yeah, go ahead and talk about that, Sean.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Like, first I was telling you, I was like, oh, when does Rock ever throw out T-shirts?
Yeah.
Because it looked like a T-shirt gun. Then here he shoots it, and here comes all these flames going out. And then he puts his name in flames, which is awesome. And then he has the Cowboys cheerleaders out there or whatever. And like you said, we kind of didn't know what we were in store for, but we found out just a little bit after that,
Yeah, exactly. And bless you. And what we get at this is the Wyatt family comes out, and that's always beautiful. I had to take a picture of the sea of lights. Think about that, 100,000 lights. Oh, it's amazing.
There was not a light on in the building, and it was completely lit in there by cell phones. That was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
It is. It is amazing. And, I know if anybody's ever been at AT&T Stadium, it is a massive place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is massive. Paul, this is your first opportunity to see AT&T Stadium.
Huge.
It is huge. I mean, if you're a Texas person, you've ever lived in Dallas or been to Texas Stadium and you saw AT&T Stadium, it's a complete joke. Texas Stadium was nothing. So this is a big, huge place. Think of the big mall. If you have a giant mall in your area, that's what this place is. Just filled up with no electricity, just cell phone lights, and it's lit up like daylight. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. But enough about that. I could put that over all day long. Let's talk about the fact that Bray Wyatt basically comes out and tells The Rock that he chose him. He chose The Rock, and the fact that The Rock was the right man because, he was greatness. And it kind of did this whole promo thing about The Rock. And, of course, The Rock has jokes. The Rock basically, without saying everything that he says, kind of makes, the light of the fact that, the Wyatt family are kind of country. Kind of demeans them a little bit. The jokes go back and forth. And I don't have the script in front of me, everything they said. You'll have to, watch it yourself. It's worth watching, at least. But the whole point of this matter is The Rock eventually gets to the point where he says that, hey, it's time to have a match. And this match is going to happen. Takes the shirt off. Everybody's stoked. Everybody's ready to have this big match. And then, Sean, it's not Bray Wyatt that he faces even. I mean, what's up with that?
Bray Wyatt doing his thing. Let one of his family members actually do it.
Yeah.
So, and he breaks the all-time fastest match record. 6 seconds beating Eric Rowan with a rock bottom, and that's it.
Oh, it's so sad. It is. Rowan's okay. That's fine. It's Rowan. It's not Bray Wyatt. But at the same time, it's kind of like the Wyatt family doesn't matter. And I can definitely, with watching this, Paul, I know exactly why Sting says what he said, why he never hopped over to the WWF. Because he did not want to be buried by The Rock.
Well, and then it's not only The Rock, then, the Wyatt family do their thing, and John Cena comes out. So,
yeah.
Then it's doubly buried.
Right. Because, so here's me during this whole thing, right? The Rock music hit, the whole place marks out. I'm silent because I'm still pissed off about what happened, back at WrestleMania 29 and how him winning the belt screwed over so many people that were still counting. And, he sets his name on fire, and he had the cheerleaders, and I'm sitting there watching, and I'm just like, man, you're part of the reason why we're here right now, is in this situation. Mm-hmm. And he gets in the ring, and like, all right, you guys set the attendance record, and Dallas is so awesome, and you guys are great, and I'm great, and here comes the Wyatt family, and, the place is so beautifully lit up, and the fireflies are everywhere, and, I'm kind of jealous because I'd like to be standing in the ring and looking at all this, and like, man, this is really cool. And then Bray cuts this really, really well done promo. Probably one of the best promos he's done in the last 4 months. Just so on point. And The Rock fires back with what you expect from The Rock. And it's going to break down into a fight. And then here we go, right? He's going to have a match. He's got the tearaway pants. He's got his wrestling tights under that. People are marking out for that. And I'm like,
yeah,
here we go. And, rock bottom 6 seconds later, it's Eric Rowan. I'm like, okay, whatever. Eric, he is what he is. It's not hurting, and, And then Strowman comes in, and Bray jumps in, and then here comes Cena. I'm like, where's the part where these guys look good in any of this, despite the fact that The Rock said, hey, Bray, you're the total package. Yeah. But today, you're going to look like 2 feet tall. Yeah. And that's where we are. It was a fun segment, don't get me wrong. But I really, really am getting sick of The Rock coming in and burying people twice a year.
Yeah. I don't blame you on that because, well, especially with this guy, Bray Wyatt has a special place with me because I loved him in NXT. I watched him grow, join the main roster, do well for himself, grow this family, and then all of a sudden hit this brick wall. And I guess we were talking about earlier, maybe that brick wall was John Cena. And then it was starting to crumble on top of him as he faced more and more people. And the burial became stronger and stronger. And it's almost like the last bricks have fallen on him. Mm-hmm. And I hope not. I hope that he can rise and do something. But right now, the Wyatt family is nothing. You don't have to respect them. You don't have to think that they're ever going to win another match. Because, let's be honest, every time they get involved with a feud, they'll beat the crap out of you, but when it comes to the time it matters, they lose. Mm-hmm. And I hate that. I can't stand it. I think it discredits their promos.
And then, the thing is, too, it's just, Cena comes out, he's already beaten Bray before, and, it's just kind of like, oh, well, bro, we know Cena and Rock are buddies now, and, even though if this was the Attitude Era, or if this was, Stone Cold, who really goes out of his way to kind of stay in character, Rock should have rock bottom Cena too. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the thing is, it was about basically, letting you know Cena's back now, and it's just like, man, I get it. They're down a member. Who knows? Maybe Eric Young shows up and joins that group.
Yes, God, that'd be a great surprise tomorrow.
But well, you gotta admit, he kind of fits in.
No.
With that voice?
No.
Oh, and his face turning red.
Stay home, Eric Young. They call you for the family, you just say no.
Oh, man. Hey, it's a payday. And, it's the one guy that I know that can get a sunburn just by speaking. His face turns so red by the end of his speech or promo. Oh, my God. But, yeah, once again, we kind of go back. The Rock is great for what The Rock does. He's historic. He's a legend. He's one of the biggest guys in this business because he sells the most merch. He sells just the tickets. Anything when it comes to wrestling, people are going to come see The Rock for a reason, and it's an important reason. But on the other hand, like Paul is pointing out here, it's not good because it does put down some of the younger talent. They have to kind of take a step back so he can kind of stay where he's at. I think that he could do a better job some other way.
It's weird because it's one of those things, right? You say, oh, but they're working with The Rock. He's a legend. There's no way you can say it's a bad thing because even if he does get put down, he's being put down by The Rock, the master of put downs, the master of whatever. So those are just really kind of hard things to sometimes draw that line of, are we being too critical? Should we just take it as a fun thing? Because earlier in the show, they had kind of a similar thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The League of Nations actually beats New Day after being just totally pummeled by New Day in the build-up, okay? And then Stone Cold, Steve Austin, Mick Foley, and Shawn Michaels all come out, and they basically whoop League of Nations. So, is that the same thing to you, or do you feel like that's different in a way? Because wouldn't it be the same thing? Just old guys beating up people that could still be useful, or are all those guys because of where they are, or how long they've been there? Especially Barrett, who basically gets the last laugh because they know he's leaving. He's the one that gets the triple finisher thing. What do you think, Cole?
I do believe it's the same thing. I enjoyed that segment immensely still. I mean, the match was fun, too. The New Day's entrance was great, coming out through a box of Bootios. They're dressed up like Super Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z. It's totally awesome. Xavier Woods even has his hair spiked up like he's gone Super Saiyan already. It's amazing. He's got Francesca 2 painted up like in Saiyan armor, and it's a great time. They come to the ring, the League of Nations come out, they get booed because, they're way overdue. They're past their expiration limit, if you ask me. And, they come out and they actually beat the New Day. Surprising. Not very welcome on this end because it only feels like it was there to set up the angle, which is to have HBK and Steve Austin and Mick Foley to come out and beat them up, which was great. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. It was very cool. I mark for all those guys still to this day. And you look at it and, it's like, why did it have to be today? This is the big stage. This is where it matters the most. New Day should win here. They're your tag champs. They don't win.
And none of these, except for The Rock, were advertised either.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you're not giving your... I guess you kind of sort of are. You tell somebody on the network that those guys showed up at WrestleMania, you kind of might order it, but...
I think that's a kind of widely spread known thing, though, that you're going to get your legends, you're going to get your current superstars, and you're going to get celebrities. When it comes to WrestleMania, that's just a known fact. So hopefully people are going into this excited anyway. But you're right, they didn't point it out, they didn't advertise, Mick Foley's going to step out there and do anything, or even Stone Cold giving a stunner. Because as of late, Stone Cold's all about not getting in the ring. All about, I'll hold the microphone, but not so much on the whole getting in the ring. So, I mean, this is a situation where, you can kind of point out that these are very similar to The Rock, putting down Bray Wyatt, and then, of course, these 3 legends doing the same to, younger talent. It's a wishy-washy thing, I guess, because we're kind of looking at one terrible and then one's a great. But in my opinion, Bray Wyatt has gone so much further in the card than the League of Nations. What I mean by that as a whole, because separately, definitely Sheamus has been a world champion. And of course, who am I thinking of? Del Rio. Del Rio is also a champion. But together, League of Nations is not on that platform. We're not talking about a decorated tag team here. Yeah. So I think that's a little bit of the difference here for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem's even magnified too with the state the roster's in. You have over half your roster hurt. You need to focus on making stars. It's a problem they've been having for the last couple of years. And they still continue to almost seemingly refuse to pull the trigger in favor of these big moments with the older stars from the Attitude Era. It's not something that's just confined to WrestleMania, because on WrestleMania you expect stuff like this, of course. It doesn't mean I still can't have a problem with it, I don't think. It doesn't mean anybody listening couldn't have a problem with it. But, you expect it today, but, you'll see, The Rock the last couple of years has been coming on these random Raws, and he'll come in and do one of these segments. It's like, oh, really? Today? When they, say they did something great earlier. Now that's kind of null and void, because everybody's going to talk about The Rock. I think the WWE needs to learn to say no to some of these things sometimes.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, as we kind of look at this, too, and evaluate, I'll be honest with you, the people in this company that are the most over right now, New Day. You know why I know that? Because not only you see it on social media, not only do you see it in merch sales, but you also see it at a live event. And let me tell you this, NXT TakeOver Dallas, people were walking around doing Uche chants, having a trombone and everything that it comes with it an NXT Takeover show. Has nothing to do with those guys. Mm-hmm. Those guys are not even going to show up on the event. Those guys didn't show up at WrestleMania. What is everybody doing? Clapping. New. They rocks. Mm-hmm. They're doing all that. So they're the most over. And so I think it goes back to your point.
Well, they do other chants based on the New Day.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And, that's why I kind of look at this as what Paul's saying here, is why not give those guys the opportunity to have the victory here, to kind of showcase this is the big stage, so shouldn't they be the ones going over? Mm-hmm. Well, I think,
to me, the reason they did it is because, as was noted in our little truck conversation, which makes the most sense, they have been pummeled mercilessly coming into the show. Mm-hmm. They lose here, all 4 characters are killed. You could argue that the Legends did that themselves after the match too, but you don't win that match after you've been decimated. What's the point of you at that point? If you're trying to keep that team together, they have to win something. And that's sort of WWE's booking, right? Mm-hmm. Like they do this a lot. They have them lose all the way in the build-up. Then on the pay-per-view, the one that's supposed to be the biggest deal, they have them win. So it sort of makes you feel like, all that stuff where they lost doesn't matter, right? So they feel like they win in the end by doing that. Whether that's right or whether that's wrong, because let's be honest, people that are outside of this bubble, and yes, the bubble's getting bigger. I'm talking about the hardcore wrestling bubble. They don't sit there and pay attention to who won last night and who won on SmackDown, who won yesterday, And that's what Vince is counting on, that the majority of his audience is saying, they're not going to remember anyway, who cares?
Yeah.
It hurts us as hardcore fans that do remember and we want that history to be told to us and be rewarded for paying attention. But they always see it as, okay, every show that we go to, it's its own show. Mm-hmm. And you need to want to enjoy that show on its own. And that doesn't necessarily always have to parallel back to the show previous, That's the way their storytelling goes. It's not always the greatest decision, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it is. And, it goes back to that whole thought process of, this thing's not over. Monday is to come.
Right.
And so everything we're maybe sour about tonight may change tomorrow. And that match
wasn't for the title. That match was not for the titles either.
Exactly. And you know what? That could lead up to League of Nations getting their title shot on Monday Night Raw. And that could be exactly what's going on. So, either way, I think that we have a future here with this whole situation with the League of Nations and New Day. But on the other hand, it's just a bummer because you would love to see them celebrate. They celebrate it still, of course, with the Legends, but you kind of want them to do it on their own merit.
Of course. Yeah, and them trying to get them to dance was its own fun, of course.
And, just thinking about this and the way this all worked out, and I know this is rewinding, but we haven't really spent time on the Legends themselves. HBK coming out, I figured he would show up somewhere. Didn't know it'd be with the New Day. Mick Foley was kind of another surprise. I knew he was going to be around, but I didn't realize he was going to be a part. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, I was very happy to see him, but I was blown away that we got stunners. Mm-hmm. I was blown away that we got the end reaction that we did. I really did not expect that. Because let's be honest, all 3 of these guys have said, we're done. Shawn Michaels especially. Yeah, I'm done. Stone Cold, podcast all the time. Done. Not doing it again. Mick Foley, I can't. I would love to probably, but I can't. I'm kind of done. So this was exciting. This is nice to see. I know Steve Austin probably put a lot more effort. This is his home base, Texas. Of course, he started in the business in Dallas. What a place to basically, maybe if he is done completely, finish out his career with a few stunners. Mm. So, I think it's great. I'm very thrilled that they did that. I think it added to the pay-per-view.
Thank you.
I think it gave a lot of merit to the fact that this is the big stage. This is where you get to see things you're never going to get a chance to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They all added something to the show. The Rock segment and this segment. They all added to the show. Mm-hmm. I feel like they can make contributions elsewise, instead of at the cost of a talent base that you really need to grow into something now to keep having something going for the future. You know?
Yeah.
I felt it was more of a endorsement of the New Day than it was them trying to decimate the League of Nations. It was more kind of like, hey, here's some legends you guys all love, especially two of them being from Texas. We're here to tell you that it's totally cool. The New Day are faces now and accept them as that, and that we love them too. So
Exactly.
if you're on the fence, you shouldn't be.
I think I would be definitely really angry if Tyler Breeze was one of those guys, taking those tires. I'm sorry, because I don't care anything about the New Day, or not the New Day, League of Nations. So, looking at that, yes, I think I would probably have a more strong opinion and thought process if it was a Wade Barrett. But anyway, enough of that. Let's move on and talk about something else that was very interesting, but at the same time...
I mean, you're going to that point. I was going to say another questionable thing was that AJ and Jericho match.
Yes, AJ and Jericho. And, here we are. We got AJ Styles, a guy that's been in the business forever, okay? And of course, there's that time period we're not allowed to talk about. At least when WWE's what you're talking about.
So at least 12 years.
12 years.
The majority of his career, we're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, so, that's out of the picture. TNA, what's that? But, the fact that this guy is such a well-known veteran in the business, may not be with WB, but it's with other companies, TNA especially, got even hotter in New Japan as of late. This guy became one of the hottest free agents. WWE goes and picks him up, and then, of course, he comes to WB. And he's not so much that guy you knew in New Japan, but that's okay. It's a new company or whatever. Chris Jericho facing off against him. I think that was great. I love Jericho. I'm a huge Jericho fan. I'm probably, maybe that's my favorite wrestler, I think I would say. But, when you put these two together and you put them in a match, you're going to get some good chemistry. But the booking here was weird because I really felt like this is the time for AJ Styles to win and to really showcase that, hey, I am great. I thought he was going to put so much into it, and he was going to get the victory that people were going to say on Monday Night Raw that aren't the hardcore fans, the casuals. We got to get behind this guy. Mm-hmm. He lost. He didn't win this match. In fact, Chris Jericho kicks out of the Styles Clash. So
for the second time.
Yeah, exactly. And where does that put Styles? Jericho's established. We don't have to worry about him. We have to worry about AJ. And I don't know, Paul. Where do we go from here? Should we be concerned?
I don't know if you should be concerned. I think this is a way to extend this feud another month. I really do. First off, I want to focus on AJ for a little bit here. Wrestle Kingdom and WrestleMania in the same year. Kudos, my good friend.
Yes.
And also AJ Styles on a WrestleMania. I pooped myself a little bit. That being said, they have a great match. Maybe not their best match, but it was still really good, I felt. Mm-hmm. They paced it well. Everything was very smooth for the most part that I saw. But yeah, then you get the finish, and Jericho goes over, and I'm just kind of, I don't know about that. But it's still Jericho. I love Jericho. It's in my top 5 of favorite wrestlers ever. Whatever. It's great. But I mean, I can't shake the feeling that we're going to get more,
Ooh, how do you feel about that, Sean? I mean, I don't know if I'm really thrilled about more.
Yeah, I don't know if I was thrilled about them having this match here, but it's still good.
Yeah, I mean, it's they've had so many matches now, but it's interesting to see how they can really pull this off. One more time, it definitely would need a stipulation at this point. Mm-hmm. That's something that they've avoided for all these matches and this entire feud that they've had. If you're going to do it Extreme Rules, make it an Extreme Rules match or something and see what they can do. I don't know if you do some kind of submission match, because that was the thing in this match. Mm-hmm. Is, Jericho putting on the Lion Tamer Boston Crab. Basically, he never put the Tamer part in. And then, AJ doing the Calf Crusher. So that could be something. A submission match. And that kind of be, AJ gets Jericho to tap out, and that's cements his spot. Maybe he doesn't get that WrestleMania win, sort of like the Triple H and Brock Lesnar thing, but he gets his win the next time, and then now it's over. Mm-hmm. So maybe Paul's totally right in that this feud will continue, and I know that it's not probably our favorite thing, but you can say the build-up was sort of interesting. The last couple of weeks with all just trash and finishes were annoying as hell. But for a lot of it was sort of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the stuffing the shirt down AJ's throat and setting it on fire and throwing the trash can. And I think the promo video they used was, I think, really effective. Like, it certainly highlighted all the best parts of the feud up to that point, so kudos.
Yeah, and the match was really good, like Paul noted. Everything was really good. They highlighted the whole points of them knowing each other and something that Jericho hardly misses, that drop kick off the ropes or whatever. AJ moved and did something else. Jericho was able to counter stuff AJ did, so he even did the sort of Okada way to get out of the Styles Clash, which was kind of cool. So it's I really enjoyed for the fact that they gave him time and they told the story, and you got the surprise with Jericho, but like Paul said, it feels like this is going somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny because we're not going in order, but there were a few matches here where I said to myself, okay, this is kind of going against predictions. And I think that, this is kind of their version of March Madness. Haha, there's the upset. And that's fine. And I think that kind of needs to be done because, you don't want everybody coming in knowing everything. And this was definitely a big surprise. And, maybe controversial. Maybe I'm not a fan of it because I want AJ Styles to look strong. I want him to look as good as he can for all these casual fans who don't know anything about him. I know the guy. I know he's talented. I know everything he can do. But if they don't, and losing doesn't always win people over. So we'll see. There's more to it, Paul, and I hope it's good. I really, really hope it's
good.
good.
You were talking about upsets. Zack Ryder, Gary. Probably the biggest upset.
Yeah, Zack Ryder. And this leads us to, talking about the first of the show, the start of the show. And that is, of course, the Intercontinental title match that is, of course, between 7 guys. And all battling for that title. We had Sin Cara, we had Ryder, we had Kevin Owens, we had Sami Zayn, who else am I forgetting? Stardust.
The Miz.
The Miz, right?
Is
that 7? Maybe.
I think we're down.
Yeah,
7,
that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Ziggler.
Ziggler,
yeah, I was about to say,
yes.
we're down another blonde.
The guy that started out the show, kind of did the whole thing. Yeah, we're forgetting him. But we get into this match, and boy, this was a great way to start the show. You're not giving away one of your big matches, not the top 3, but you're giving a match that people are going to care about, a match that's exciting. As soon as you start the show, you've got ladders everywhere. So that's solid to me. Boy, those guys put it on the line tonight, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, they're following a successful formula. Obviously, you had the ladder match open last year. You've had ladder matches open before when you had Money in the Bank going strong at WrestleMania. Yeah, I mean, these guys went out there and killed it. Everything I think you wanted to be there was there. Everybody got a little spot. I mean, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn parts were just magical because that whole building lit up because that's what they wanted to see, obviously, and WWE doesn't feel like that's what we want to see. Whatever. I'm just being pissed now.
Even Hootie Cara got his moves.
Oh my, jumping and springboarding off the top rope after falling off the ladder was just absolute. That was incredible. Stardust, getting clobbered through a ladder. And kudos to him too for having the polka dots on the suit. That was a really nice touch. R.I.P. Dusty.
And the polka dot ladder.
Yes, the polka dot ladder. I just Zack Ryder winning a great surprise. I've loved Ryder since he started doing that internet show all that time ago, Long Island IC, and his dad getting in the ring with it. I'm sure it meant a whole ton to him. It's almost surprising. You have a match here that everybody loves with a surprising finish, and then you bookend it at the very end with what we've already talked about with Reigns and Triple H, and it's I think an interesting dichotomy to look at, maybe. Yeah,
it definitely is. And, I think that, we were all predicting either Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn in this match.
Chris says the polka dot ladder was beast.
Yeah, it was.
And then Kevin Owens totally healing it up and just chunking out of the ring.
Yeah.
What a jerk.
I'm telling you, Kevin Owens probably the best heel right now going. There was a picture of him at Access, and he wouldn't let anybody come see me, blocked off his area. That's just a total heel.
Yeah, because he blocks everybody on Twitter. So
yeah, I love it.
Block him in real life.
Exactly, but that's just an old school heel. and he's doing it the right way. But, going back to it, I really, I predicted, I think, Sami Zayn. I joked that I want Ryder to win. I really think it was reality. But it happened to become reality. And I think that's very interesting, especially for the fact that Kevin Owens, wouldn't he have a chance to, try to go back and get his title back with a rematch clause? But I still figure you can't leave out Sami Zayn either because of the whole Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn dynamic. So, I don't know. Where do you think they're going with this? Do you think Ryder's going to have a run here, or is this like a one-and-done thing?
This might be a lose it the next day on Raw sort of thing to somebody maybe you have coming up off the NXT roster, or you have Kevin Owens winning back in a rematch, or maybe you have a whole another big thing around the Intercontinental title or something like that. But I feel like it could be a one-and-done thing. At the very least, though, Ryder at least gets to have this really neat moment. And I think we need to talk about the finish too and how well orchestrated it was too, because you have Sami Zayn up there and then you have The Miz, who nobody in that building wants to win. Push him off, and
nobody around the world that they wanted to win.
The crowd let him know their displeasure, and he soaked it all in. Sitting out there, he curls his leg around. He's got this big smug look on his face, and then Zack Ryder of all people is your savior, and that's just really well done all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and that moment where Zayn does his his sunset flip thing to the outside, and then he comes back in, and then DDT's Owens on the floor with his through the ropes. That was so good.
That half and half he did to him on the ladder.
Oh my God. That was insane. First of all, when have we ever seen a half and half at WWE? And then secondly, just to have that happen was insane. I mentioned Hunicar had another spot too where he was good there as well. And I think Kevin Owens is a master of knowing when to pop that ladder up to get just enough so they can do the move that they need to do off the ladder while it's falling. Just good stuff. I mean, you don't have anything that's totally crazy. The Stardust having to go through the ladder looked very painful.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I mean, just rather safe, but lots of good spots in that ladder match too.
Exactly.
Dolph Ziggler channeling his inner Young Buck as well on that string of super kicks.
Oh yeah,
my God, yeah. Like you just said, Sean. Really, really well done for everybody all the way. Everybody got something. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great, and once again, it's a nice way to start the show, the official show. We've had pre-show stuff, but I just think it was a solid way to get the whole thing going.
You want to run through the pre-show stuff?
We are. Let's run to the main card. And we'll leave that stuff for a little later. That way that we can... it's going to be pretty quick, honestly.
Yeah.
So that'll kind of slow, kind of wind us down. But let's talk about another huge match. And something that did happen on the pre-show that blinds up what we're about to talk about was the fact that Lita comes out during the pre-show and kind of talks about the women's history in wrestling and the WWE, talks about the title, and gives us the idea and knowledge that they are going to crown a new WWE Women's Champion. So the Divas title is no more. You're going to have a brand new, just beautiful looking belt that women can represent, and it is great. It's something that I think has been needed to be done for a long time now, Paul. But we do get the, unveiling, and of course we have now Charlotte, who is the current champion, facing off against Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. And, before we even get into the match, let's talk about the fact that these three ladies really made sure that they started out their whole entrance with a bang. We get, of course, Becky Lynch doing her thing, the North Smoke and the outfit and all that. That was great. You get Charlotte coming out with, of course, Ric Flair doing the robe. You like the robe?
And that classic Flair pyro too.
Yeah.
Just the nice little shatter sparkle thing. That was really cool. I mean, when you hit the best one, Sasha Banks coming out with Snoop Dogg, having him wrapping her down to the ring, and the
personal wrap even.
Yeah.
Yes.
The insane amount of pink sparkles and streamers that if you're on those first 4 rows next to the ramp, you got covered in, and I probably would have been pissed if that was me.
And they had whoever sings her song, singing right next to Snoop Dogg too.
Yeah.
So she got the one live performance of the show.
It was great. It was, a nice thing to see happen, and I think that all three of them mentioned it. I think this is good for a lot of reasons, but I think it's great. Bless you. I think it's great that they messaged them, They put the message out there. Excuse me, and let people know that hey, this is going to be big. We're doing special things for our entrances. All three of us. You need to be there. You need to watch it, and it was worth it. It really was. And we all figured Snoop Dogg was going to kind of come in somewhere with Sasha Banks. But just having it happen, it was just a blast. You even, with the knowledge, it made it great. So, but that brings us to the match itself. And wow, these girls put on a...
Well, you want to talk about the title, how it looks first?
No, go ahead and say what you want to say something about.
I think that's really cool, what they did with the title. It's basically them taking the UFC concept of the title looks the same as the men's. Lita made the point of don't call them divas, just call them superstars, just like the men. So that's what they title. It's got a white belt thing behind it, which I've always kind of liked the white thing. It's you have it with the IC title, so now you have it with the women's, and you kind of have the red background behind the big WWE. So it makes it looks uniform, still looks distinct, but it doesn't have to have butterflies. It doesn't have to have sparkles. It doesn't have to have big women's thing plastered all over it. You can just say this is the women's championship, and that's it. And I think that's great.
That's great for several reasons, but it's also great for the fact that if Nia Jax ever holds that belt, it won't look so awkward. Just saying.
Oh, God love you. Yeah, the belt looks great. The red background works really well with the white and the gold. It's a very pretty belt. And like you said, it's uniform with the men's main title. It looks different, but it looks equal. If we're gonna talk about the match, I felt it underperformed personally. It was really good, and you could tell they were going for that big epic vibe for the stuff that they've done in NXT before. But you have some botches early. You have some stuff that doesn't look quite as good, and they were going for it. And when you don't hit the mark when you're going for it, it looks off. That's not to take away from what they accomplished. They probably put on one of the best Divas matches at WrestleMania before. So there's still that, but it wasn't that match that's like here it is. They certainly had the aura around it though. Like there's a big focus on the pre-show. You have all these long entrances for the girls. Everything is great, except for the match in itself.
Yeah.
And this is why I've said many times that having the multiple women matches doesn't work for them that much. They still, all of them are very much used to having the singles match. The one big singles match you prepare for, that they can kind of sort of choreograph, all that, whatever. And when they're trying to, and I give them a lot of credit, they tried so hard to include everybody and make them all be included, have the spots, but there was times where you can kind of tell Sasha's not supposed to fall down there. She fell. She had to get right back up. Sasha had to save herself from, I don't know if that was about design or not, but she did a suicide dive at the last minute. Decides to do a sunset flip and
turn it into Hilo and oof.
And Becky and they all had the little moment there where there was something wrong, but for the most part, you could possibly say it might be the best Divas match ever on a WrestleMania. There's not a whole lot of laundry list of great Divas matches, let's be honest here. But still, they made this feel like, there's this huge thing. And I give credit to Charlotte for when she wins the title, she's already been the champion, so she doesn't make it this big old hoopla that she won. I'm the heel. I've been the champ. I retained. I just got this new title. And now I get to hold it up and show everybody, well, now I am really the champion. You don't have to, whatever with that. Flair got involved again, which, how do you guys feel about that? Flair getting involved again.
It was minimal this time.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to lead to something because he only held back Sasha from stopping the pin, and you could spin out of that.
Right.
And that's fine. Not to mention him taking the dive from Becky earlier felt like vindication for when he almost, practically forced himself on her earlier this year, but
yeah.
That also got a big pop too.
And no charges were pressed.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, this was an entertaining match. I think it was very well done. I don't give a lot of bad things towards them because yes, there were mess ups. But, I think I come at this as this is their first WrestleMania. This is their first opportunity at tasting what it is like to wrestle in front of that many people, that massive of a group. We're talking the difference of arenas of 20,000, maybe the biggest group there, 30,000. But you're talking about 100,000 people. You're talking about a giant stadium, just the pressure. It's the biggest event of the year. People who don't watch wrestling all year long will watch WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to WrestleMania parties. They'll, show up and pay for a ticket to WrestleMania. So there's a lot there. There's a lot of first impressions you're having to give out. There's also a lot of pressure on you from behind that curtain to do as best as you can to prove that you deserve a run this next year. Mm-hmm. That's what this is about. And so I think a lot of nerves came out. I think if we would have put this in a different setting, in a different circumstance, you may have a better match with all, those nerves being gone. I think they did a great job for what it's worth. Now, sure, they screwed up in some spots, whatever. But I still think it wasn't bad enough to where I didn't like the match. I was very happy with it.
Do you think that now they'll actually use this as a platform to, I really liked even in the video package where they used the network to type in search bars of the different themes of what it's been this year for the Divas after they did the whole showing all the past champions and all that stuff. They've done all this. They made this feel like, from here, we are now making this a part of WWE going forward. Mm-hmm. The problem is this has been done with other things in the past. Will this become something that they now focus on?
I certainly hope so. You obviously have to change the way you're going to book these feuds now. You can't just be catty stuff. Mm-hmm. You have to give these. You have to follow the NXT model. You have to give them legitimate reasons. The same as you do for the guys. Same as you need a good reason to feud. Sasha has one with Charlotte right now, so you ride that. If you have the other girls come in, or whatever Monday turns out to be, because I'm about 95% sure we're going to see Bayley tomorrow. So however you want to bring her up, like maybe you have Charlotte start bringing on all these challengers, and she just you start setting up reasons for them to fight. Mm-hmm. You treat it seriously, people will take it seriously. You treat it like catty diva stuff, people are going to treat it the same way they always have.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to make sure that you give those opportunities that NXT's done, or give those opportunities for them to basically be taken serious, because so many times we kind of put them in that total divas model of all the catty stuff you just mentioned, all the other things that they kind of get into when it relates around total divas, because that's the big thing right now. So they've got to try to either back away from that or maybe not make that such a big deal within the Raw format. Sure, do it away from Raw, but I just think if you keep that around it, people are still going to think of it the same way. And they won't. A new shiny belt's not going to change that perception. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's what it really boils down to. And I hope the best on them.
Since we already talked about one Divas thing, we want to just go ahead and, because it kind of does tie in, because they did give that 10 Divas thing the most time on the pre-show.
Yeah, they did. And it's kind of funny because we were joking about it, that being the bathroom break, the soda break, which technically Sean and I did go get a drink at that time. But it was a long match.
To be fair, because we just gotten there, basically.
We did.
It started.
It did. We're like, okay, we have time. Right when we got to the stand, it was like, ding, ding, ding. Oh, man. But we did watch the TV. So we did see it. We saw Eva Marie, of course, get her booze. We also saw, a lot more. And, this is a pretty interesting match. I'm already blanking on the name. I know there's Team Total Divas, but is it Blonde? Bad and Blonde. Bad and Blonde. Okay. So, you get what we kind of expect, back and forth, everybody gets a turn, and it did get a lot of time, Sean. I was a little surprised. I thought maybe they were going to try to speed that along, but they did get quite a bit of time. I think for the most part, from what I saw, they all did a pretty good job. Even Marie didn't look god-awful. Mm-hmm. As much as the fans hated her, and I'm not going to give them a bad time about that. I understand why you would hate her. There was, a lot of good in this. But what the most compelling thing is that Brie Bella is the one who gets the pin here in this match. And is that significant at all?
Yeah, you certainly look at that. You look at the post-match it feels like a goodbye. It feels like this is a send-off because you have the big hug with everybody who won. You have Nikki come down afterwards in her ring gear and then hug her sister and hold everybody's hands up and all that good stuff. And if it is a goodbye for Brie, then that's a sweet moment. It's something that like him or hate him, the Bellas have given a lot of their lifetime to the WWE and to trying to build the women's division in whichever direction the WWE wanted to go, because you can't blame them obviously for what happened to the entire Divas division or anything like that, and especially with them trying to adapt to a changing division that's shifted from pretty girls who just happen to wrestle to wrestlers who happen to be pretty, but yeah, I think everybody here looked pretty decent. You could obviously argue other things, but this is certainly not the worst we've seen Eva Marie look. She's looked pretty bad on some of the NXT stuff we've watched, and she was much better here. Not that that's hard. And I think Lana. She only did 3 moves, but they didn't look bad to me personally.
No, exactly. And this is probably the best place for this match. And of course, it's obvious it's not a title match, and it's nothing. It's more of a spectacle. But on the other hand, I think it's good, too, because you let the people that don't have experience, like Lana, like Eva Marie, get out there in front of this kind of crowd. Get some moves in. Get those feelings. Because I just talked about it with the girls, going for the women's title. They were dealing with nerves themselves. And so I think it's grouped this entire division is getting an opportunity. Whereas, in the past, maybe 4 of them got that experience.
Or you all got stuffed into a match
Yeah, you're totally right. So this is great. This is something that maybe they need to think about every year. Let's have a, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a women's battle royal, but let's get as many as we can, maybe Survivor Series type match for the women. And then, of course, the title match. I think it's a good thing, and I think it gives everybody experience, and eventually, sure, everybody's going to get that experience, but I just think it's a positive thing with so many young talents.
Right.
Yeah. So many fresh-faced, green talents. So this is good. I don't think any of us really have a problem with Brie Bella winning. It is what it is. It's not like this really has any circumstances that matter for the future. So you'll get little broken-up feuds here and there between them. I'm sure the Lana and Eva Marie thing will probably continue if Eva Marie's sticking around. We don't know. But, going away from that a little bit here, there's another huge match on this whole show that we really haven't got into, and it wasn't, surprisingly, as long as I think we were hoping for, maybe. It was a match that I think kind of underperformed, if you ask me, even though it was still a spectacle, and that is Dean Ambrose facing off against Brock Lesnar. We got to see all the weapons, got a chance to see 13 suplexes, but really, honestly, no blood, and the violence was not really there like I think we expected, Paul.
There are a lot of things that puzzled me about this match, Gary and Sean. You look at it, you've built up Dean getting all these weapons from guys. You even had him on the Go Home show come out with this big whole tub of them, and suddenly that's not there. They're all under the ring, so he has to go out and find them, which I guess is to break up the match. Whatever. Brock is Brock. That was fine. Your suplexes, the crowd is all into that. We're keeping count. They're putting up the big number on the Jerry Vision for us to help us keep count.
How annoying.
We're stupid. How many?
I felt like it was more like this toy that they could and they played with.
Yeah, and let me bring this up because we really didn't mention this earlier. Okay, so if you watch the show, okay, and you're probably going to get a chance to see a wide shot, you get a chance to see the big screen that Jerry World has, and it's giant. But on the sideline parts of this whole big, huge, giant scoreboard TV, whatever you want to call it, they legitimately had, during the women's match, woo written out for you to woo when they wanted you to woo. During New Day, they had a whole we want some New Day chant, which that's sacrilegious. That's only for Bayley.
Yeah.
New Day did start that.
I don't care who started it.
It's Bayley's.
It's
now.
Bayley's.
Yeah.
Sorry. And of course we just talked about, they are doing these kind of things during the show, and that's not wrestling. Mm-hmm. This is not a baseball game. We don't need cues when to do things. We know them. In fact, we're supposed to be the fans who create them or go by the seat of our pants when we want to do it. I just thought that was a little pushy. And in fact, I noticed a few times that it seemed like whoever the guy is who runs it was starting to get intimidated. Because the fans would be doing something and then he would hurry and push the button. Oh yeah, they're doing woo, woo! Or they're doing it. So I just thought it was stupid. I'm sorry. I just thought it was ridiculous.
It really irked me. Because, wrestling is supposed to be this organic thing on our end. Obviously what we're watching is what it is. It's scripted and all that fun stuff. But we're the organic part. We're the ones you're trying to impress live. Everything. And, we're supposed to be the ones on top of it. And obviously if we're quiet, maybe we have a reason to be quiet. Mm-hmm. Or if we're not going the way you want us to, maybe we have a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're keeping count there, and then it was short. Being a marquee match, you would think this would get 15, 18, 20 minutes. It didn't. Not letting Dean go over irks me, and it's not just because I'm a Dean Mark. Obviously, I'm in here in my Dean Ambrose T-shirt. I love the guy, but just you look at him not winning another big match, and we talked about this on Thursday too. What this makes Dean look like now. He looks like a loser. He looks like somebody who can't win when it matters most. And now it seems like you flushed a very talented face just right down the toilet. And, say what you will. It's Brock Lesnar, but this is why you had him beat the Taker. This is why you had him beat the Streak. You want him to put somebody over at the right time. And I felt like this was the right time, personally.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's just so terrible for Ambrose just because of the fact that, like everything you were saying, and the fact that, we do have those young fans and those casual fans who are watching this product and who may want to get behind him, but it's so hard to get behind a guy who lets you down every time. It kind of goes back to Bray Wyatt for me. You just don't get the opportunity to see this guy overcome and win. There's a reason John Cena won so many matches, and it's a reason why a lot of people don't like him. But that reason boiled down to it got him over. Mm-hmm. Well, why aren't they using some of that formula, or at least a piece of that formula for Dean Ambrose especially, a guy that could legitimately be one of the biggest baby faces this company has? Mm. I just, it's right there in their face, and they just don't want to do anything. Which, it goes back to this match in particular. Maybe Brock Lesnar didn't want to do the honors. Maybe Brock Lesnar had a reason for that, or maybe it wasn't Brock Lesnar. Maybe it was legitimately the booking. Maybe Brock would have been okay with it. I don't know that. All I know is we walk out of this thing saying, "Oh, Dean, you lose again." Mm-hmm. I don't like that. Sean, how do you feel about it?
This is the kind of thing that they're in sometimes, right, with Brock, and that if you have him lose to Ambrose, how does he get that back? With Ambrose being a guy that sometimes has been made to look really bad, or made to look silly or whatever, but you kind of, in the last little bit here, you had booked him strong, you had him almost go, you took Triple H to the limit, all those kinds of things, and then with Brock, I think the point, it's that believability thing for Vince and for a lot of people involved in that. Do you think that even with the weapons, Ambrose could have been able to beat Brock when every time those weapons are being introduced, Brock was basically just taken to task or whatever? He put up a valiant effort. That's kind of the story they've been telling the entire time, and that's kind of what the match became again. It was Dean putting up a valiant effort, doing everything he could. He probably could have been given more opportunities to actually, I guess, gain an upper hand on Brock, which he really didn't get to. But I don't know, this is one of those hard ones. I wanted Ambrose to win too, but I feel like it's still WWE feeling that they had to protect Brock, and they had to find that perfect person that they feel can get that win on Brock, and it lead to something for them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. This is the whole thing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get on Monday Night Raw. I think Monday Night Raw is going to give us a lot more information on this. But also, I think it's going to be a situation where Brock Lesnar is going to go take his break now. From my understanding, he may be doing something, but I could see where Dean Ambrose has to find a way to move on past this and find a new path, and maybe there's some circumstances within that. But I don't know. It just, as I said, it kind of leaves him in a situation where he's just, I don't know, I wouldn't want to say lost, because he's not lost. But at this point, who has the opportunity to face Dean Ambrose and make it make sense? And especially the situation he's in, is it really credible? Because you can't really put him in a big title match. He's losing to everybody. And he's lost to Brock Lesnar, so why would he need to be in the world title picture? Why would he need to be in the Intercontinental picture right now? Because he's been there, done that. I don't know. I kind of leaves me baffled, to be honest with you. I really don't have much to say about it besides the fact I'm disappointed. So, I just not on Dean Ambrose. I'd love Dean Ambrose. I'm just saying where he's positioned is not a favorite.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on past this. Let's talk about something that's kind of interesting and a match that I thought would be kind of wild, but on the other hand, I thought it was going to be predictable in a way, but it wasn't. The Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And boy, we talked about this, we joked a lot about this, this is going to be Jobberville, where all the jobbers are going to go to have fun.
And it's what it was.
It was, but at the same time, we got some surprises here, guys. We got Tatanka, which was a huge surprise. Where did that guy come from?
That was a random surprise.
A very random surprise. And of course, we get a few other guys. Shaquille O'Neal. Who would have ever thought? I never would have thought Shaquille O'Neal was going to appear in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Another one, we get Baron Corbin showing up, an NXT star who didn't win at TakeOver, but he made his way to WrestleMania. And I'm trying to think anybody else I'm missing here. DDP. Oh, how can I forget one of my favorites of all time? Oh, wow. And happy birthday to Diamond Dallas Page. I believe Sunday was his birthday today.
Wow.
And 60 years old, Paul.
Doesn't look it.
Doesn't look like
that DDP yoga, man.
Working. I need to be on it right now. So I don't want to look.
Go give DDP my money real fast.
Exactly. In fact, I was really considering going to do that workout because I did a workout Sunday morning, and get all that promotional stuff. But I don't think they had a whole lot of spaces, and that's kind of early in the morning. So no, thank you. But anyway, so we had those great surprises. The Andre the Giant Battle, of course, everybody we kind of expected. Sandow, of course, we had the Ascension in there. We had the Social Outcasts were in there. Big Show came. Henry. Well, the big guys too. They wanted to fit as many big men in the match too. Those three guys I just mentioned right there. The huge guys you thought would win. Big Show's already won this match. So going into this, we get our normal stuff, R-Truth. Goldust kind of do their Golden Truth stuff a little bit. I like that. That was solid. And, of course, you get all the different, eliminations. But in the end, it boiled down to the fact that Baron Corbin won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. What a surprise, guys. A guy that's, an NXT star. Maybe not the most over NXT star, but he's been at the top of the card for a little while now, kind of hovering around.
We know Vince likes Baron Corbin.
Yeah. Former NFL star. So, looking at this, though, guys, where do we see this going? I guess this means he's a part of the main roster.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I don't think you have him win it unless you're moving him on up to the east side. Finally get a piece of the pie. That's the last Jefferson reference I'll make.
I want to sing the song now. Thank you, Paul.
But yeah, maybe he's the guy that comes in, you have him face Zach tomorrow and just squash him. Anything's possible with Baron Corbin. We've seen his run on NXT. We know he's about. Can he go? Yes. Is he? I still don't think he's ready personally. I think he's still got some more sitting under the learning tree to do. But they're giving him this chance. Let's hope he makes the most of it. Let's hope he surprises us all.
Yeah, he can learn. He can learn from the veterans that are already there. Take what he's already learned. and sort of continue to adapt that into what he has now. It's going to be interesting what he does on Raw on Monday. It seems like him winning, which kind of came out of nowhere because he was not announced. He was not giving an entrance. He was just there. So, Shaq and DDP were the surprise guys that were given an entrance. So everybody else we kind of already knew. And it's cool. Baron Corbin's given this opportunity. Let's see if they actually do something with it, because we saw what he did for Cesaro. We saw and did nothing for Big Show as well, even though he's a very much established guy. Let's hope they break the mold with Baron Corbin and actually make it to where it's something where he goes forward. And he certainly tried to look like Andre with the pose afterwards.
He certainly did, didn't he? Oh, man. So, I mean, I'm with you on this, Paul. Baron Corbin, still a little green. Still has a little bit to do when it comes to learning and being a guy that has enough experience to really get in those big matches. So, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle this. Maybe Vince got excited about this guy and called him up. I mean, here's what it comes down to for me. Watching him in NXT, watching what he does fine. Still learning, though. We know that. When you watch NXT, you have that understanding. Mm-hmm. It's not perfect.
Oh, come on now. Look, Vince has Braun Strowman on the roster. I mean...
you're right. I mean, he's still green. Mm-hmm. Braun Strowman...
Baron Corbin's better than Braun Strowman.
Oh, yes. True. Although, I'm sorry. I'm going to say, as much as Baron Corbin's improved on the mic, Braun Strowman still is more believable. Just going to throw that out there. I feel he's more believable, in my personal opinion. But, yes, you're right. Baron Corbin is better when it comes to in the ring. And it just makes me wonder, at that takeover on Friday night, Vince is watching the product and says, I haven't seen this in a year. Who's that big guy you got in the ring? I like him. Bring him over. Well, the match hasn't started yet. You haven't seen him wrestle. I don't care. Where's the paperwork?
I'm sure I
don't know. I'm just saying. I could see Vince not watching.
With big guys like Baron Corbin, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about how he's booked afterwards, and you can protect him a little bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly going to be working with guys that are more similar to the way he works, or wants to work, as opposed to that more independent style that you get in NXT.
And I think, too, what we're forgetting here, too, is that it's good that they did this on a WrestleMania, so you don't have this plethora of NXT people all coming on Raw the same night, and it all gets overshadowed. You have a guy, he debuted at WrestleMania sort of in a subtle way, so when you have him show up if he does something on Raw on Monday, he's already been there. It's not, okay, this is his debut, and, he's coming in, and it's not one of these two where he shows up and it's kind of like, okay, you weren't the guy I was expecting, I don't care.
Yeah. Good point. Very good point. And, that makes a lot of sense. I hope the best for Baron Corbin. I have nothing against him. I think he, could do something one day. You just never know. Like I said, nothing against the guy. I'm just not totally sold he's ready. Right. I'm with you on that, Paul. So going from here, let's go ahead and talk about another title match that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the U.S. title match that Kalisto had. And he went into this ring facing off against the giant Ryback, because I look at this as kind of a David and Goliath thing. I think most people do. So going into this match, and of course, we didn't get a chance to see the whole thing, let's be honest. We haven't. As soon as we got back from WrestleMania, we sat down and did this podcast. So we're at a little bit of a disadvantage here, but for the most part, we did get a chance to finish it out. And Ryback does not get the victory, which surprises me. Kalisto did get it. I thought maybe they were going to find a way to get Ryback the belt, maybe. I don't know. Maybe in our predictions I picked Kalisto, but I kept going into this thinking, Ryback's going to walk away with it. But what did you think about it, Paul?
I thought we'd all pick Kalisto to retain, but I don't remember.
You're probably right on that.
Either way, Kalisto retaining is good. I'm still very much into him. They haven't really made it a large platform for him to get over with, but he certainly does have a spot on the card every week to show you what he can do in the ring, and I think that's probably where he's got the best chance of getting over to. So, kudos to him there. What we saw was I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine, and Kalisto should win, and the story doesn't get told at all if Ryback wins.
Yeah, you're right. So. I think Kalisto's a great young star. I'm excited about what he can do. I think it's a need that the WB has, and that is these small guys, these kind of more lucha type guys, to showcase their talent, to make Raw have a variety.
Right.
You know, and really, let's be honest, there's no cruiserweight division in this company. Really, the smaller guys are not always placed in the best positions. And so this is a guy that is right now. He's over, and I don't care. Face him against as many big men as you want. The guy's great. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that he'll do some good things. But, you know, once again, this is the first match of the entire night, okay? So this is the first pre-show match. There wasn't a whole lot involved where, you know, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's be honest. But moving on, there's one last match we're going to talk about here, and I hate to say it for the last, but it's what it is. The Usos face off against the Dudley Boys. And, you know, we were kind of curious to see what we were going to get here. I don't think any of us had any giant expectations about it because, well, let's be honest, there's nothing on the line here. It's just kind of a smaller feud, but it is what it is. We get an okay match here. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible as well. You know, you get a little post-match stuff to go along with it. But, I mean, really what it boils down to is the Usos do win. Mm-hmm. And, you know, of course, the Dudleys try to stop that, but the Usos won't be defeated on this night. Of course. So, I don't know. Anything you want to say about this, Sean? Anything that you kind of come away with?
This was sort of a Cliff Notes version of something we've seen before. They kind of told the story of the whole thing with the, I don't know. It was just really kind of just there.
Yeah, you know, it really isn't a whole lot to say. Paul, say whatever you want about the match, but I want to throw this your way while you're thinking about that, or you're going to say what you're going to say. I leaned over to Sean and I said, you know, it's a shame because the Usos are great talents. They're good kids. They have a lot of potential. The problem is it's almost like they've reached a plateau when it comes to not only being in the ring to maybe winning the tag team titles, but they've also kind of reached a plateau when it comes to the charisma. When it comes to the gimmick, everything about him, it's almost like it's met that John Cena standard. Mm-hmm. What do you think? You know,
I certainly see that. There's a lot of sameness to him. And maybe they do need to find some way to freshen up. Because I don't know how well they would work as heels. But you certainly have that option now if you're going to have the New Day as your big face team. Because I don't think the New Day are going anywhere anytime soon. So if you want to try an Usos heel turn, I think you could probably get away with it here. I think the thing that surprised me most about the match, though, is how short it was. I think it's 4.5 minutes, and whenever they started showing the timer, it's still, you know, they had like 7-8 minutes left whenever the match was over. So, you know, I figured you take that to time, but they didn't. We got what we got, and, I mean, the crowd didn't seem any sadder for it. I can't say I was, but it's still, it's two teams the company has a lot of faith in. You know, I figured you let them have that little moment.
Yeah. So, and that's really honestly what it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this. I mean, I apologize if anybody is watching this or listening to this and are saying, hey, you know, what about this or this? I just, off the top of my head, there's not a whole lot to say.
Yeah.
I would try to extend it, but why? Before we get out of this, because that is our entire card, before we rate this thing, I want to mention there were some celebrities there. And I'm trying to think. Stephen Amell was there, which was surprising me. We didn't have any Stardust interaction. Very surprised about that. And then we had Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons.
Yeah. I think he was there.
Yeah, who got a lot of hate because he had a Patriots hat on.
Right. Yes. And you can't do that here.
Oh man, if it was the Steelers, he would have got attacked.
And you know, Shaq, Snoop Dogg, the Hall of Famer moment.
Yes,
Maria Menounos had an interview with Zack Ryder backstage. That was pretty good too.
Yes, which was very funny. I like the Scott Hall comment.
Yeah, he's gonna take a picture of me and my belt now.
I love it. I do love it. Oh man, so that you know that's what WrestleMania is all about, right, guys? About the big matches, the current superstars, the legends, and of course the celebrities. And so it was a spectacle. I loved it because I was there live, of course. It was a lot of fun. This is my first WrestleMania, not for you guys. You guys are veterans at the WrestleMania thing. But, I mean, overall, we got to rate this thing. We got to kind of come up with a rating. So, start us off here, Paul. What do you think?
I think it's a very enjoyable show. I think it's a very up and down show if you're looking at match quality. If you're looking at just the spectacle of it all and about what WrestleMania is, I certainly think it encompassed all of that. It was fun. It has your big legendary moments. You have celebrities. You have some good matches. I'm looking at a 6.5 though, I think. And I don't think that's a bad score for it. I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, your ladder match was good. The Divas performed very well. Jericho and AJ was very good. The New Day were great. There were great pieces here and there, but it was never a full continuous flow of just one great show, What
do you got, Sean?
I'll go with the 7 because I kind of enjoyed some of the I enjoyed some of the stuff with the legends being in there, and you what Paul said, you get everything that involves WrestleMania in this. You get the legends returning to do big moments with current wrestlers, whether that's demeaning them or not. You get you get your main events. At least they gave you what they're supposed to, right? You got the big stunt from Shane. You got Undertaker winning was sort of a surprise. Brock and Dean was sort of underwhelming, but they're still kind of in that weird moment with Brock where they don't know what they want to do with who's going to be that person that's going to beat him. Triple H and Roman was sort of, it was good. They told the story well, but it's that whole still thing with Roman getting booed and Triple H getting cheered because they don't want to cheer Roman. So it was it was what it was. The Divas did great. For what they were able to do, but I think it's not one of those great WrestleManias that you're going to sit there and go, I'm going to rewatch this a bunch of times. I think it's better than average, but it's not anything aside from that. There was nothing. There's memorable moments in some of these matches, but there's not a match really that I go, oh my god, I got to watch it again. There's cool moments in almost every match that you can go, this is a cool spot. The ladder match had cool spots in it. The big jump off the top from Shane. There were some moments in the main event. But that kind of tells you that story, right? There's bits and pieces of this WrestleMania that you go, okay, I'll remember that. But it's nothing like, all right, I'm going to go watch this WrestleMania again when we get done.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm right there with you. I think a 7 is a good score. Because of the fact I'm trying to think of a rated Wrestle Kingdom. And I think I gave it an 8 if I'm not incorrect on that. And wow, that was a card that was amazing. It was top to bottom. So it almost makes me want to go to a 6 for WrestleMania. But I think 7's a good number. You got to throw in all the spectacle, of course, the Rock and the excitement. The excitement beyond just the wrestling, the breaking the record of attendance, the fact that you had spectacles like the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders doing their dance out there. The Women's Championship belt alone being unveiled by Lita. And then, of course, the matches themselves were good, but like Sean was kind of pointing out, nothing that you're going to go home and say, wow, I can't believe I saw that match live. It was... The Shane moment was amazing. Don't get me wrong. It was great. Maybe you never see that again. I don't know. But what matters is overall looking at the entire show. And I think a 7's a good number. And it's not disrespecting. I think it's a very okay show. I enjoy this WrestleMania. It just was not over the top good. Mm-hmm. That's the thing with me. And sometimes, we expect over the top good. But, you're going to have WrestleManias like this. And so it's okay. But, once again, very happy we got to go. Happy we got to travel together, spend some time, and just have a great show overall. So, anybody out there listening or watching this live, we want to let you know that we're going to do this show again tomorrow night following Monday Night Raw, because we all know, we've talked about this plenty of times, the real action is going to be on Monday Night Raw. And some big surprises. Any big surprises you guys want to predict right now before we get out of here?
Wow, Larry gave it a 5.
Oh, wow.
Maybe it came across different on the screen. Obviously, being there live, you get a different experience. But
between being alive,
when it comes to tomorrow, I'm sure we're gonna get Bailey and Zone Cass. They're gonna be there. I would not be surprised if they renege on Roman Reigns so soon and be like, well, we got to move it. or we got to do something with him. So I would expect something big happening with Roman tomorrow too.
Fair enough.
Yeah, still gonna find out if we're gonna get Mr. Balor in the Balor Club or not. You know, if they're gonna show up at all, or if they're gonna be an NXT thing. You know.
Yeah.
That's James Derrigal, one of our Australian group members and listeners. He's like, I think the best part was them not having a concert halfway there.
Yeah,
I will completely agree with that. Yeah. No concerts on a WrestleMania, number one for me.
You know, James, that was the only thing I was kind of disappointed in because I didn't get a bathroom break. Otherwise, yes, I'm thrilled, very happy.
And he gave the show, I think, what would amount to basically a 7 out of 10 or something like that. He said all the matches were entertaining in places, some had more entertaining places than others. This is kind of what we said too.
Yeah, exactly, and he hit it right. So, I mean, you know, we get a lot of good things out of this. I think that, you know, this is a starting point for some careers. This is maybe a spark to others. I look at it as, you know, a solid show, and I'm excited about tomorrow night. You know, prediction-wise, you guys kind of hit on the head of a few talents I think will definitely make their debuts. But I'm also excited about seeing what's going to happen with not only the world title, but the IC title, because of the fact that it's Zack Ryder walking in, guy that none of us predicted as the guy walking out there with that IC title. So there's other things on this that I'm very excited about, seeing the New Day, their reactions to WrestleMania. It is going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to being once again amongst all these wrestling fans and closing out our WrestleMania week. And it's kind of sad. We're starting to wind down here. And it's been a blast. It really, really has.
I guess seems to be that people think that the show took a nosedive after the women's match.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's an interesting thought.
Interesting.
See, and it goes back to what you're saying, Paul. Maybe live, different feeling. I don't know. We haven't watched it on the network yet. We'll probably get a chance to do that later. But, man, that's kind of interesting.
It might be something like, you know, they might have thought that that Shane and Taker thing was basically everybody just waiting for that big spot, and everything else kind of sort of, because there was times where it's kind of like, man, if they don't have a run in here, this is going to be a lot for Shane to have to do, you know, in this match with Taker.
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was slow. I think it was the best you're going to get, I think, out of what those two guys bring to the table this time of year in 2016. You know, I mean, they're old guys.
Yeah, sorry.
we know this.
Yeah, they need to do DDP yoga.
Yes, maybe that's the answer.
I think so. They'll be better and stronger. So, well, unless we have anything else, Sean, from the comments there, I think we're gonna bounce. We've had a great show tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming and checking us out. If you're listening, thank you for downloading us, and thank you for listening to our show tonight. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for watching on the Facebook, Facebook Live. That's we appreciate that as well, and all the comments.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, it's one of those things we wish we could do it on a normal basis, but you know, we're all usually in separate places. This is the perfect time to do it, though. And of course, you know, thank you for everybody who subscribed to our W2M network. That is a great place to go find great podcasts. So please, if you're not subscribed, go do that now. And also, hey, if you haven't had the opportunity, make your opportunity happen tonight. Go rate and review. That definitely helps us out. If you like what you heard, you like what you've seen on the, you know, even on this Facebook feed, hey, go do that for us. We need your help, just because of the fact that, you know, it gives people the understanding that, hey, there are a lot of people that listen, and, you know, they, you know, want to be known. So it just, you know, does us a solid. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. And also, once again, thank you for our partners. You know, for 11mania.com. Love those guys over there. We really appreciate them. Of course, lastwordonsports.com. Those guys are great as well. We appreciate their time and appreciate the partnership. And besides that, guys, unless you guys have any last comments, I think we're getting out of here. So, once again, we appreciate everything, and we will hopefully see everybody on Monday night following Raw. Until then, we got one thing for you. Always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Later.